To kick off this series, we're going to introduce you to a woman who is defying aging by defying gravity, so to speak. We're going to be talking to Miriam, who is an avid rock climber and fitness enthusiast. And so, Miriam, first of all, I want to say thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So may I ask how old you are?
I'll be 75 this summer.
Wow, 75. So rock climbing, fitness enthusiast. Have you always been a fitness enthusiast your whole life?
I always have. I've always worked out, but of course I didn't climb until after my kids were grown because it's an expensive hobby. And then I got into it at age 50 and it just got hooked. And then I started running at 58. And I've run 6 marathons and 2 Bostons, but my passion is rock climbing.
So how did this become something that you thought you might want to do or might want to explore?
Always been a tomboy all my life. I've always climbed trees and hiked and loved the outdoors. And so once I got on the rocks, it was just love at first sight. I just love it.
So did you see, like when you were little, read stories about people, climbing Mount Everest and stuff, and you said, I want to do that someday? Like, how did this come to be?
I actually wanted to climb Kilimanjaro, but
really?
that never transpired. But Everest I never thought about, but actually that's alpine. I'm not into alpine climbing. I love the rocks.
Okay, so
totally vertical.
Okay, so explain that. How, for people who might not know exactly what it is that you're doing.
I'm just basically what they call free climbing. I'm protected with a rope and a harness in case I fall, but I climb on my own. I don't use any aid to climb.
Okay.
I just actually climbed 6 pitches of El Capitan this September, and it was all free climbing. I didn't need any aid.
So have you ever fallen?
Oh yeah, lots of times.
Oh my gosh, and that doesn't stop you, it doesn't deter you?
No, I mean, I actually had a bad climbing accident 3 years ago. I was setting up a top rope down at Cooper's Rock in Morgantown, and I leaned over to check my equalization on my ropes and lost my balance, and I was not tied in, which was not a good thing to do. And I actually went over head first, and by the grace of God, I threw my left hand up, got the sling, and spun around and slammed my face into the rocks.
Oh my gosh.
So I was a sight for sore eyes for at least a good week. So,
did that make you afraid to go back, or did you know you had to go back?
I had to. I kept trying. In this one area where I set up, it's a very easy climb, but it's still totally vertical, and it's 30 feet, so if you fall, you're definitely going to get hurt. But if you fall and hit your head, there's no chance. But the last time I tried it, I was scared, and my husband kept saying, you don't have to do that. I said, no, I do. I have to do this. So I did, and I conquered my fears. But it has made me much more cautious now, especially, as you get older, you do lose your balance, and your balance just isn't what it used to be when you're young.
Okay, so let's talk about like that breaking through fear. Like you broke through fear in like a major way of getting back up on a rock, right? But there are so many seniors, so many people that allow their fear to stop them from truly living an exhilarating, vibrant life.
I actually was afraid of height when I first started climbing, and it was very hard to overcome. But I just kept climbing and climbing, and I finally overcome it. I'm fine when I'm, on a rope, and I know if I fall, I'm going to be caught. Mm-hmm. And I love the adrenaline rush of the height, but I still have a fear of height if I'm not tied in. So I think it's just natural.
But breaking through that fear is something that you feel. What advice would you have for someone as to if they are afraid of something?
You just have to keep doing it. And that's what I'm telling my youngest grandson. You have to do it to break the fear. It's the only way you're going to break the fear. So hopefully I'll have him up there on the summit this July, all 5 of them.
Well, that'll be wonderful. So setting goals, creating new challenges for yourself. You said you're going to be 75 this summer, and you were telling me you still have goals and challenges that you're setting.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, what are some of those?
Well, my goal in July is to have all 5 grandkids on the summit, and my youngest daughter. My oldest one doesn't climb, but she's going down to watch us and to watch my great-grandson. I'm also a great-grandmother.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So I'm going to get him on the rocks too when he's 2.
Eventually. So has anyone suggested you're just too old for this? And what do you say
Oh,
to
I've
them?
already had people accuse me of child abuse because of having my grandkids climb. All my grandkids have climbed it too, except the 2 oldest ones. They were 6 and 4, but the other 3 were all 2 years old when I got them on the rocks. And they've all loved it. I've got 2 really, really good climbers. My youngest granddaughter, she has summited so many times, we've lost count.
That's wonderful. So tell me, what is your philosophy on aging?
You try not to get old, but obviously we don't have a choice. You just got to keep moving. That you have to keep moving, and you have to do what you love to do.
But I have aches, I have pains, right?
I tell people, they say, I can't exercise because I have bad knees. I said, well, I've had 2 knee replacements. You can do upper body. You can do biking. There's so many things you can do. There's no excuse for just sitting on a couch potato. There's just no excuse for it.
So would you say your key to aging awesomely is to keep moving?
Yes, yes. And I lift weights. I'm big on weights to keep my muscles strong. Years and years ago, I had a herniated disc in my neck. And I was only in my 30s, and I had saw Dr. Chris Marquardt, who's no longer here, but he was a friend of mine. And he didn't want to do surgery. He got me into weightlifting. He said, if you can keep your muscles strong to support your skeleton. And I just saw him a couple years ago, and he said, did you ever have surgery? I said, no. He said, I told you wouldn't have to if you kept lifting, and I still lift. Now, some days are a lot harder than others, and I just had COVID again for the 3rd time over Christmas, so I was down for a good 3 or 4 days there. I didn't make it to the gym, but I'm usually 6-7 days a week at the gym.
Down but not out. What advice would you have for other people on aging?
Keep active. You have to keep active, and you have to keep a good frame of mind.
All right. Miriam, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And you definitely are a prime example of aging awesomely.